And we are live. Harry Dawg, Evan McAfee. How are we doing tonight, baby?
I'm good, man. How are you? How are you?
Dude,
Anders?
Yes, Anders. It's like Anderson minus the sun. Just watched the Jags lose, which is pretty tough. But besides that, we're out live. We're here. We're having fun.
Yeah.
First SEC interview. I mean, episode 7. Actually, well, Florida's going to be episode 6, but we're recording them tomorrow. But we don't have to talk about that. Speaking of Florida, I guess we'll just kind of jump straight into it. Who is your rival? You know,
That's a good question. And like for the longest time, it's really easy. If Georgia Tech is good, they would be our rival. Just
Mhm.
because normally we have like basically we just grow up around the same people, either any people in our high school go to Tech, go to Georgia, and then you've like got that sort of rivalry going. And like I wouldn't know anyone from Florida or Auburn really, but they just suck. They're really bad. I think it would get ignited pretty quickly. Like if they won once, like we wouldn't hear the end of it for at least 5 years. So that would reignite it. But I would say I think our biggest has to be Florida. I
Hmm.
think Florida, they pose a threat a lot of the times in the East. Like generally it's going to be them or us. And I mean, I've had good sort of interactions with the mascots.
Hmm.
Like they're all great. Um, but the fans suck at Florida. The fans are garbage.
So here's a fun little thing. Our bowl game this year is the Vegas Bowl against the Florida Gators,
Yeah,
and we won that one. I think 30-3. We almost canceled their shutout streak.
I was so mad. I was watching that game just praying for zero at the end because I hate him. I hate him so much.
Oh man, I was in the stands and I was just doing the fucking Gator
Yeah.
chomp while he's depressed. And like, if I was walking by like a family, I wouldn't do it, or if it's like a kid, I wouldn't do it. But if it was like
Yeah.
a college age dude that looked drunk and pissed, I'd just be like,
Yeah.
"How's my
Oh
form?
yeah.
How's my?" Because like,
Absolutely. I mean, there's a similar sort of vibe when we play them because we play them at a neutral site every year.
mhm.
We don't play them either in our stadium or theirs. We go to Jacksonville, um, and it's just like I don't think they check IDs. I don't think they care. Like the people are blackout drunk at the beginning of the game. I had beers thrown at me during the game when I worked it, and it's just like some snobby people, man, snobby folks.
That's another thing about the SEC that it's kind of interesting because I'm a unfortunately a West Coast college football guy, and everyone there's
Yeah,
got one rival: Arizona State,
yep,
Oregon State, and
yep,
even kind of with Oklahoma. I mean, you kind of have Oklahoma State, but it's mainly Texas. But it seems like
yeah,
the SEC just beats the fuck out of each other, and it is
yeah.
just so ingrained in culture down there
Yep.
that everyone it's a free for all.
It's weird. It's so different because I grew up a Florida State fan, so I
Hmm.
was ACC, and it was the same way. Like we wouldn't have a rivalry with pretty much anyone else in the conference, or like it would just be Florida and that's it. Um, but no, you kind of hate everybody because you're always scared that like any game, especially on the road, like any of these games you could easily lose. And it's just something you're always afraid of. But like it breeds a lot of animosity, especially when we play because we have, some teams we won't have rivalries with, but pretty much any team that we play every year, we have a rivalry with them. So like Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, and a little bit South Carolina, but they're gonna be a rival pretty darn soon though, I think, with where their coach is playing.
And that's another thing about like Tennessee is just that they kind of came out of nowhere this year. I mean, granted, they were
Yep.
pretty good last year, but then like suddenly this old rivalry sparked back, and all these Tennessee fans
100%.
who had to hold their tongue for all these years, now the
Oh my
Bulldogs are coming into
gosh.
town.
Yeah. I had a few Tennessee fans on my like just that I follow on Instagram. Their stories are the most annoying things in the entire world. It's like I don't want to hear this obnoxious crap, you know.
I will say the Volunteers. We played them in the first round in March Madness my junior year, and we beat them by like 20 points. never heard the end of it. They're ranked number 1 in baseball, and we were like number 3, never heard the end of it. Tennessee, man, that's a different breed. But
It is. It
so
is.
so now that we got the basic dynamic started of just the craziness that is the SEC, I'm gonna share some photos. We got. Let me share screen too. Let me know if you can see this.
Let's see. Okay, I see it.
We good?
Yeah.
All right. So I got a few pictures lined up, and normally I was gonna save this one for the very end, but just because I'm a little bastard, I'm gonna pull this one up first.
Oh my God, dude, that game was incredible. It was so unexpected too, to be honest with you. I mean, this man, like, I don't know if you heard about there was like some drama between like some media personnel and Stetson because he was like apparently not being like humble enough
He was on
at
his
like
phone. Yeah, he was like, oh, on his phone. Yeah.
yeah. And like, dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think anyone, like, no fan, I think at the beginning of like last year believed in him. So I get it. I freaking get it. Dude, this guy balled out. And especially he had like that one, he had like a Johnny Manziel type throw for a touchdown, like near our end zone. And I was like, is this guy like the greatest quarterback of all time? I literally thought he was gonna win the Heisman, to be honest with you. He was killing it, but I felt kind of bad for the Ducks, man. I got to know them pretty well on a commercial I did with them a few times. Like we did a few commercials together, and I was like, dude, this will be a fun game. This will be great. And then we just stomped them. It's like you don't expect these things to happen. I think it's weird because even as a as a fan of a team that's obviously very good, we haven't been like very, very good for very long. It's always been like, when are we gonna fall? When are we gonna break? And I
It's
thought
kind
it was gonna be immediate.
It was kind of like when you were number 4 in the nation, where like, oh, we're gonna make the playoffs, and then LSU just comes and stomps in the SEC championship. Like we're top 5, we're great, but are we on that next step?
Exactly. And it was so scary for the longest time. But now I think it's a weird spot to be in as a Georgia fan right now, I would say. But this game really, I think, said a lot. It really set the tone in regards to how good this team could be.
Because
Yeah,
sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, like, you won the national championship, and everyone's kind of looking at, well, the last time that happened, LSU lost to Miss State, I think, in their opening game, and people are kind of wondering, well, is Georgia? I mean, they have so many guys going in the draft, so the fact they came out and beat a top 10 team right off the bat, even as like the mascot, were you kind of wondering, like, so are we gonna keep pushing this, or like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, it was because obviously, we're not super close to the inner operations of the football team,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of thinking to yourself, like before the game, I was fortunate enough to talk to like the athletic director, because we did like, I don't know if you guys did ever like the New York Stock Exchange thing.
No, it's
That should have been another photo. So we ended up, um, they had me, our president of our university, and like a former governor, and then our athletic director flew up to New York on a private jet and closed the stock market. It was crazy. It was amazing. But on the way there, we were talking about the game because it was like right. It was like the week before, and our AD was like, "Yeah, I think we might be down one score at halftime, but we'll keep it close, and then hopefully eke this one out." And we just blew the doors off of them. And then if it wasn't for maybe Missouri, like we would have looked so scary. But
yeah.
I mean, things happen.
It was weird, and also like the two teams that I thought gave Georgia the biggest scare were the two most unexpected ones, Missouri and Kent State for a little bit.
Kent, I will say this: Kent State, I was never scared. Because I always I'd say there were. I mean, even with Kent State, I was never scared. I knew we were going to win, but my issue was we didn't win by enough, and I thought they'd move us down in the ranks, or they'd look back on this if we ever lose a game later on. And I thought this could have been the nail in our coffin. Missouri, I was a little scared, but I kind of knew we had the depth. Kirby knows what he's doing. But I'd say by far the scariest game, even before the game started, was Ohio State. I knew that to me, I thought it was a tough matchup with the way that they run their offense. Like our weakest link was the secondary, and obviously their passing attack is their forefront. And that was a game I was scared shitless for.
So I mean, like I said, I've been at games that have been last second that have just fucked with my heart. So what's it like having against Ohio State, having a game go back and forth, and end at the last second?
Yeah.
Do you have heart problems?
I do, 100%. There's got to be some picture of me, because I wasn't in suit for I was in suit for the first halves of the national championships. That was probably the scariest 2 minutes of my life. I saw, like, for some reason, I had so much weight in this game. I don't know why, because I don't know anyone from Ohio, but it's just like, I've always hated Ohio State, and I hate when they're good. And so going into that game, super scared. And then obviously, first half didn't go completely our way, but we, hung around, we fought back. And then to fight back and get a score in the last minute, I thought to myself, we scored too quickly. Because it had, like, same thing happened before the half. They drove it down in like 50 seconds for another touchdown. And all they need now is a field goal. And I was in suit, just sort of watching the thing happen. And you can't really hear much on from the speakers at Mercedes-Benz for whatever reason. So you're kind of just watching the Jumbotron, watching the field, just seeing how people react. And then it comes down, they get the 40-yard field goal to try and win it. And I thought we lost. I was already in my mind thinking, okay, how do I not act sad? Just, I was just ready for heartbreak. And then all I saw was like a slight change in direction. I didn't see the kick miss. I didn't see like how it happened. I just saw it move slightly, and then I heard screams, and I immediately broke down. Like there's definitely a picture of me. Like, I was screaming too. I was like, I don't care if I get right. I was screaming and crying, bawling my eyes out on my knees. And like one of my cheerleader friends, he comes over and we're just having a moment. There's got to be a photo somewhere of us two just like absolutely losing our shit together. But I would have to say that might have been my favorite moment in suit ever. Yeah.
Just the stakes come down to that so much. And like, there's so many more events outside of football, but when there's just the weight of the world, when I'm just like sitting, checking the ESPN update, I'm like, holy shit. Like, that must have been absolutely insane. And crying in suit. I've screamed in suit before, especially when we beat Oregon. Like, I've absolutely done that before. But speaking of suit stuff, we actually have a cool photo. This is definitely South Carolina, right?
Yes. Yeah. So I loved this post. So like the whole time, like, this was something when I started, like I was at this is like my first year leading. So my whole goal was to try and improve our social media following. And you got to ruffle some feathers by doing that. And so this was one of my favorite ones where, we beat the Cox and they're so proud how they're able to say that. And it's just like, okay, dude, yeah, I get it. You got penis jokes on your shirt. Okay. Impressive. I was like, I need to make my own penis joke. So as soon as we win this game, and obviously it's not even close by the third quarter, so I'm already geared up and ready to post this thing. I decided to go with the caption, "Chicken equals choked."
That's a good one.
Nice little cheeky joke there. And I was like, I don't know how the Athletics is gonna feel about this sort of this caption, but I think it went right over their heads. I think it was just subtle enough where no one realized what I was saying, but then you got like 3 comments in the comment section be like, "Hey yo, what?"
Because like if you literally say the cocks have been choked, you kind of like what? Like just takes 2 seconds to piece that together.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, it was good. I was really happy with that one.
That's also great. And here's my boy Brutus. And who is this Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl mascot? What am I looking at right here?
This is a new guy. So I actually was able to like help in their promotional video because they had a bunch of Georgia mascots come in for it. But dude, I think this is like, I know it looks kind of silly, but it has one of the greatest mascot accessories ever. What do you think the most amazing thing about that suit is? Like, just take a guess.
The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl suit.
Yeah, there's something amazing.
I guess like if I were to guess something fantastic about it, maybe he's got a big stomach. He's got like a water bag in there. Maybe. I don't think it's anything with a no.
His nose squeaks like a clown's nose. You can literally just go up to it and you just start squeaking it, and then like obviously the dude in it is they have I think 2 guys doing it. One of them is like pretty good professional. I think he was an Aubie. But like he kind of dies a little bit each time you squeeze it, and then eventually falls to the ground. It's hilarious. One of the 26.
One of the most bizarre mascot traits I ever saw was our bowl game was the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, and Jimmy Kimmel got his own mascot. It was Jimmy Camel, and there was this camel that his mouth would electronically open and then shoot a projectile vomit stream out. So like
no way.
His hump was like this giant metal contraption where they like fill it with Nickelodeon slime just so this camel would vomit. And I was like, this is simultaneously like the worst and best bowl game I could ever imagine. It wasn't so fun, so it was like nice, but it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, what the hell is that? The Jimmy Camel.
Yeah, the Jimmy Camel. It's just don't Google it, dude. Once I saw that on YouTube, we're bringing our own mascot, Jimmy Camel. Like I sent to our mascot group chat. I was like, God fucking damn it! Like that's a deal, Jimmy Camel.
They're doing it everywhere now, man. Every single bowl game has a mascot now.
The Cheez-It King.
They have 2. They got the Cheez-It King, and then there's just a giant Cheez-It with like the 2010s sunglasses.
Dude, they need to have a Duke's Mayo Bowl, like just a can of mayonnaise. That'd be fucking sick. They do?
He's got eyebrows. He's hilarious. He looks so dumb.
There's a mayonnaise mascot? I did not know that. That's fucking sick. Anyway, but like this guy looks I do like the nose squeaking part of it. I also see my boy Brutus here. How is Brutus? I feel like the head weighs 2 pounds.
It's so light. It's like them, and honestly, like TCU has one of the greatest heads ever. You can see so like all you get in Harry, and I would argue we might have the worst visibility of any mascot in the country. All the 2 eyes, that's it. And so you're like basically seeing, like if you put your hand like maybe like this, like about 3 inches away from your head, 2 of those holes, and that's about all we get.
So that's, yeah, you can't even really look straight ahead. It has to be kind of curved, right? You have to kind of look to the side to see things.
Yeah, it's terrible. But like Brutus, it's like, dude, it's so malleable. You can move your head around completely, and you got like all the eyes and the mouth to see. And I'm like, dude, that like they know what they're doing at that program. They've made a science out of it. But they were really great.
Yeah, dude, the best heads I put on were the Duck, Utah Swoop, and the worst I've ever put on was what is it? Arizona Wildcat has the worst. He has a small mouth with 2 giant fangs covering it.
Oh no, and that's all he gets to see?
He has the worst visibility. We were doing a thing for the Pac-12 championships in Las Vegas where they sent all the mascots. And they had all the mascots just like walk in a line. We're all walking. He was in the very end. He accidentally stepped on a homeless dude's like change jar and like kicked it over and spilled it.
Yep.
It was awkward, but we still
I've ran so many kids, just like barreled them over.
So how does Harry Dog apologize when he runs into a kid?
Dude, I mean, most of the time it's kind of like you give a slight bow and then you run away. But like to be honest, there's nothing much you can do. You kind of just have to let the people around you explain for them and just be like, "Oh, Harry's so sorry, man. He is, dude. He just, you know how dogs are. They can't really see the best.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
you cover the eyes and like look down in shame. That's like what you have to
yeah,
do.
yeah. Like you can't. There's nothing you can do to apologize. You're kind of just like crap because it was a. We were walking from like the tailgate at Florida, back to our bus, and I was like lagging behind because people kept on wanting pictures, and so I started running ahead. And then a kid who wants a picture runs right in front of me, and I didn't see him, and like I ran into him like pretty dang hard, and all I could do was just like look at him and then like basically just
Just
shake my head, cover my eyes, give him a high five, and then run away, and that's all I could do.
face palm. Yeah. I'm also curious, like how the head, you can see the jaw right here. Is it like very like forward heavy? Like, does it hurt your neck at all? Because like the
Yeah,
jaw is so big.
yes, and then that kind of creates a different issue where you can't move your head up too high
Hmm.
because it just shows your entire face.
Hmm.
So not like an over encompassing head, but it's much heavier forward wise than it is in the back. And like, I'll feel it in my neck after games. But I'll feel it in my low back too.
Oh,
Because like constant pressure just on the entire human organism.
that's tough. Also, another graphic. I don't know if this was also you, but the where
Yes.
is Kent State? That's hilarious.
Yeah, and then a nice little "It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia" reference. We were just it was this was I think my favorite post of the year.
Mm-hmm.
This is our this is our second one. We did a like a duck season sort of photo shoot for the Oregon game, and that one it turned out really well and it did great. But this one I was like, I really want to do my best with this, and I feel like we nailed it. I really do.
Was this taken in like your apartment or like the athletics building or?
This is in my coach's office. Yeah, like
I
to find a computer, and we're like, this might work. And so we basically like we just had the screen white, and then we photoshopped what we wanted it to say later, just because we couldn't get like a good view of it. But it was so fun. This was one of the more fun projects I think we did.
That's also one of the perks about being a mascot that people don't realize maybe as much is that the amount of social media influence you can have and just like creating content of your own and just like an edit of me like dunking on like the Stanford tree or something, like the beaver eating the
Yeah,
tree or Harry Dog just like going hunting for like elephants for like Alabama. You have a lot of
yeah,
creative freedom for that. Obviously, marketing always has to put the final stamp of approval on it, but you got a lot of creative freedom with that.
yeah. And it's a lot of fun. I don't think I'd say the one time this one was pretty bad. I uh I haven't really gotten in trouble with marketing uh at all for any of my Instagram posts, but I had to take down a few tweets. One was especially bad during the Natty where um I kind of turned into like I think I was like channeling blooper or something, but I was like, man, you know, I'll tell you what, all I can think of right now is that there's some small child in purple just bawling his eyes out. He changed teams, and then I had to take that down immediately because they don't like us shaming children.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to the personality of Blooper because I've definitely seen a lot of videos and highlights of him. I'm excited to talk about that. I got a few more. This with zero context seems like a very dystopian like view.
Yeah,
I know what's happening here, but for the average person, can you explain what's going on with a million cameras and just Harry Dog standing there just silently?
it's one of the coolest things I think I've ever seen. So this is done for like basically virtual reality, trying to get a 3D model of I guess a mascot. And so they had me stand in there, and it only takes, maybe 10, 15 minutes tops. But like the thing only takes like one shot. Uh, all of these cameras are like $1,000 DSLRs, and they all take a shot at the same time, and they have software that basically creates a 3D model. I was at the Heisman House for the shoot this past summer, and they were doing this on the side. But apparently, I was standing in like the same room or the same like trailer as like Chris Hemsworth from Thor, and like
Huh.
it was super cool. They do some crazy stuff.
So you were the hairy dog in the Heisman House commercial.
Hmm.
So we've talked to a few other mascots shooting commercials before, and I've done one or two, and it's just an all day ordeal. It's exhausting. You do get breaks, but it's just so exhausting. So what was it like filming that with like other actual Heisman winners there?
It was so it's there's a balancing act that you kind of have to work, right? Like first of all, when I saw Barry Sanders, I screamed. Like I was about to go cry in a corner or something, but I have to maintain my cool, maintain my composure. Um, and you sort of just have to leave them alone unless they come up to you. But then during like the actual shooting, that's when you get the fun times in, man. Like I did a shot with um Devonte Smith and RG3, and RG3 is like one of the funniest people ever.
He's so
Like,
funny.
dude is hilarious, and I am so surprised that I knew like this little about him before. Like, I could have known by like the socks that he wore that he's a funny guy, but like, dude, he has a great personality. I told Devonte Smith that I was kind of angry. He, uh, he stole a national championship away from us in the last seconds of overtime,
Mhm.
uh, and talked to him about like he had a great soundbite on like NFL Wired Up, and I was like, dude, when you were saying that you shouldn't use a massage gun on a bruise, it shows that us athletes are pretty smart people, acting like his caliber. And then Kyler Murray actually recommended me a movie. I was like, "What should I watch right now, man?" He's like, "You ever seen Black Phone?" And I was like, "No, I didn't see it." He's like, "You should watch it." And I was like, "Cool, thanks." But it was surreal. Like if you grow up a football fan, it's weird being in that kind of situation with like your heroes. And like
Yeah,
Carson Palmer, he was there too, and he honestly, that guy could be an actor. Like that dude is funny as all hell, great at improv. I mean, honestly, he'd make a good mascot. I
really.
think he'd do good. Yeah, he'd do a good job. Of all
Nice.
of them, he might be the best.
It's just so crazy. Imagine just like looking around. I don't know if was Baker in that commercial as well.
Yes, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like it was like all the Oklahoma ones. I think Jalen Hurts was there, Kyler in that commercial.
I saw the people that were there when I was there. It was I don't Jalen Hurts wasn't there, but Baker was, Bryce Young was there, Devonte Smith, Derrick Henry, Tim Tebow, uh Barry Sanders, Steve Spurrier, and Charlie Ward. I
I
don't think I'm
I could just imagine seeing all these famous athletes, and then you're like, you want to just go talk to them, but then you're like, all right, time to put on the head,
yeah,
and like
I'm like, dude, I just want to say so much stuff. But then I'm like, okay, bring it in.
put on the head, put on the head. I can't
Yep,
say it.
can't
It's
say
like
anything.
the one time you're going to be in front of all these celebrities, you can't talk. That must be excruciating.
Yeah. I Luckily there was a time where like we were basically we are pretty isolated from the outside world, where we were shooting. But it was like indoors, but like the AC was off, so it was getting pretty hot. But I was take off my head for a few minutes, and I had a great conversation with Carson for a really long time, which was really really cool. But yeah, it's a surreal experience. But it made me think I could be an actual actor one day. I feel like I could do it now that
Yeah, Once
You
you
know,
see me at like the bars, I'm just a lot more like since I got the mascot stuff, I'm a lot more just like visual with the way I move around. That's kind of a side effect you get from the mascotting is you're just a lot more like uh hands moving when you're talking and all that. Absolutely.
yeah.
So here's a photo. This is from apparently one of the first hairy dogs. It was
Hmm.
debuted in the Sugar Bowl in 1980, maybe 81. The thing that surprises me, I actually just talked to TCU, and their old mascot gives me nightmares. The old duck gives me nightmares.
Yeah.
This looks like the exact same. He hasn't gotten
Yeah.
through many changes.
Hmm. I think so. We don't own the rights to Harry. It's actually the guy on the right, I believe, is who created it, and it's been sort of his vision the whole time. So like whenever we wanted a new suit, he'd make it, or if we needed a new like if we needed something fixed, he'd fix it. But so he's basically like it's been pretty staunch like the whole time. Like Harry Dog has looked like this forever, but we did have a mascot before them, and it does not look good.
More friendly.
I mean, I guess this one isn't terrible, but like the duck and then the new duck,
Mm.
like the when they switched it, they like added like the like Under Armour looking duck. He's like
Oh,
Spider-Man or something.
yeah, no, that Robo Duck. Also, holy shit, that's horrifying.
Yeah, no, not the best.
No,
And so this
it's
guy
not
came in.
bad, but yeah, Robo Duck, the Mandrake, they called it.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Mandrake.
when we were in Vegas, I approached the Ducks mascots and I was like, "Hey, so where's the Mandrake?" And I believe it's still at the University of Oregon, but it's super hidden. It is
No
like
way.
like they never got like rid of it. I think it's just sitting in a back closet in a secret area. The Mandrake is I'm pretty sure they wouldn't give me the full information on it, but I think they hinted at it.
The Mandrake is still out there. He's still at large.
I can't sleep well at night knowing the Mandrake is still out there ready to fucking kill me, but
Mm-mm.
all right. Let's see. We got blooper, baby. We
Yes,
got
man.
blooper.
That's my guy.
Atlanta Braves. So what is first off, what the hell is blooper? What are those ears? How does he see? Oh, wait, I can see how he sees. And
Yes.
he's wearing
Yeah.
the Georgia chest piece with like the spikes on it. So we'll just start off. What the fuck is blooper?
Dude is a carpet man. He's a beige piece of carpet. And he just walks around. You know, he's just a little guy.
He's just a harmless little guy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I've seen him stiff arm a child.
Okay, yeah, he's maybe not the most harmless guy anymore. But I think when he's not on the field, you know, when he's off duty,
Hmm.
when he's off the football field and he's no longer being a menace,
Hmm.
he wouldn't harm a fly.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he was
Yeah,
thrust in that situation. The kid was trying to tackle him. It was self
that's
defense.
exactly it's like I mean, who's the real victim here? And I would argue it was him.
So, uh, how far away is Atlanta from Athens? Just for people that might not know.
About an hour drive.
Okay, so it's pretty
So like,
close. I'm
yeah,
guessing Harry Dog makes appearances there a lot. And does he ever make appearances at like Hawks games or like anything else around there? Like,
I think he would. I think if the Hawks were, I think, more of a staple, he would. But they're like at the moment they don't sort of interact. But I think that's mostly on like our part. Like I think if we talk to Harry the Hawk, we could definitely do more. But we do some stuff with like the Falcons in the preseason normally.
mhm.
Um, but then everything Braves has ramped up ever since we won in the same year. That sort of made like, and then that sort of increased the relationship that Blooper and I have, and that's probably what has made Braves and Georgia go together so well.
And let's also just talk about that. You said you both won in the same year. I'm in West Coast, and I think people here are obsessed with college sports and sports in general, but that is nothing compared to the SEC conference and the South. So, what does I can't even fathom really what does Georgia football? I'm sorry, Georgia Tech. We're not talking about you right now. What does Georgia football mean to the state of Georgia?
It's, I would say it's on the level. No, it surpasses a Super Bowl like 100%. I don't think there's there's not a single other sporting event I think that would matter more to the state. I think Braves comes kind of close because they've been around for a really long time and they've got like a pretty good fan base. But like if the Hawks won, I don't think it'd be super big of a deal outside of like Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgia winning the national championship resonates throughout the state, especially the one last year where we hadn't won in 40 years.
Yeah, since 1980 and all. I trust me, I've been on Twitter. I've seen all the Alabama fans saying like, "Oh, it's been last natty was."
And it's about time we can finally clap back.
See, I'm just
Georgia Tech had a natty earlier. They had one in 90.
really Georgia Tech did?
Yeah.
Oh wow, the Yellow Jackets. Yeah, I'm kind of waiting for that Georgia Tech rivalry because I always like kind of root for them on the low key.
Sure.
They upset one ACC team and it was Vanderbilt and Tennessee. I saw a funny tweet. It's like the only thing preventing Vanderbilt and Tennessee or Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech from getting to a bowl game is and it's like checks notes the number 1 and number 4 team in the nation.
Oh, sorry guys, that's on me.
Also, another question I've had is I've seen Georgia fans, and I think I might have seen maybe it's just a graphic. What is like the chest armor plate with the spikes coming out of the shoulders?
Yeah, so they're a group on campus called the Spike Squad. So I would argue they're about as important as I think Harry Dawg is at specific times. Mm-hmm. Like I think at a football game, like that's who the camera will point to a lot just because they're so animated. But basically it's just a group on campus and they like buy shoulder pads and they put spikes in them. And it's a secret as to how they put the spikes in. So I can't reveal that.
Okay.
But they're just like super fans basically, but they're awesome. They're great people.
Is it kind of like the you said it's a crew, so is it just like a kind of like a club, like the Ralphie handlers or like the Sooner people that ride the Oklahoma Sooner? Is it kind of like that, like more affiliated with the university, or is it more just like what students do?
It's more what students like. It's not associated with athletics at all, but like they have enough of a presence to where like they were I think were in an ESPN commercial earlier this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like they mean a lot to the school. And when they heard that Blooper was coming in for one of our games last year, they love him obviously because they're just like, I feel like they're the kind of people that would just fall in love with Blooper. I mean, granted, I am too.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, "You think we could make one of these for me?" And they're like, "Oh, abso-freaking-lutely." And so he's got his little Braves spikes on.
When I think of the Georgia fan base, I think of that one ginger kid that went super viral. This is the dog pound.
He's a teacher. He's a teacher in Athens.
That guy's a teacher in Athens now?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
What does he teach? What's the story behind that guy?
I don't know. So he's a part of the paint line. So they're like the two like main sort of groups, like super fan groups that sit in the front row each game are the Spike Squad and Paint Line. And so the Paint Line, they basically just paint themselves up in whatever colors and stuff. And I think they're affiliated with like I think the Baptist church that we have in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a bunch of guys, and he was just riled up, man. I don't know. Because I mean, a lot of the guys they'll yell, but they're not gonna get down here with the dog all the time. I mean, he was awesome. That like he's a legend. He is a legend,
and he's now educating students at Georgia.
Just in like I think at a local high school. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So like is he kind of a celebrity? Has he ever come back to games?
I've never seen him at a game, but I think if he were to come back, he would get the largest ovation from the crowd.
Yeah,
at least from the section, because every student knows about him.
Oh, everyone knows. I know about him. him. I'm like,
I'm surprised you knew about him. He's awesome.
Oh, dude, everyone knows about him. I think would that not be the most epic entrance? It's all silent. You're 2 times national champs, and Harry Dawg's out there waving the flag.
Yeah.
Well, this is the doghouse.
The dog's
Everyone
house.
runs out. I would be fucking sick. So this one I can tell it's the Hedges, Sanford Stadium.
Yeah.
So he
And so
came
we
to a
got
game.
yes, yes. So this is the Missouri game from last year, and you can kind of see they've got in the top right, you've got your paint line and you got your spike squad on the top left.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was the first time I met Blooper, and I think it's like it was weird because I liked Blooper before I became a mascot. Like everyone hated him in the beginning when
Mm-hmm.
he was first veiled, but I thought he was so freaking cute, man. I just thought like it's just a funny little dude, and I was like, I love this guy. And then they were like, okay, Evan, when Blooper gets here, we're gonna need you to handle him before the game. And I'm like, yeah, say less. I'll absolutely do that. Jesus Christ. And so he comes in with this giant van, this giant Blooper van, and I'm jumping, I'm giddy. I screamed and started laughing hysterically. This was the greatest day of my life. Like I got to experience like it's really funny when you've got like a guy that's that good and he's like able to be like a pretty funny character. When he's in the zone, it's so fun to watch. It's like watching like the Three Stooges or like Charlie Chaplin, just like great slapstick humor. I had that for like 5 hours. I just looked at him the whole time. I didn't even care about the game. I was just watching him.
So
It was awesome.
what's the favorite interact? What's like the most memorable interaction you've seen between Harry Dog and Blooper?
Okay, so we were walking so like before the games, we visit some tailgates and like perform like Harry and the cheerleaders do. And there was a glass door that uh we were walking through, and I'm just like unbothered. I don't even think about it because Harry Dog's really cool. I open the door and I walk in, and then all of a sudden I hear a loud thud, and I look on the ground, and he just ran into a glass wall and fell on the ground. And he was like saying, like, for the rest of the day, he was pretty hurt. Like he was like banged up from it. But he's just so freaking funny. And like, so, you sort of just see watching him around during the game, and then he'd do his little hula hoop sort of humping thing that all of those kind of mascots do. And Harry Dog can't do that. And he's just looking around. It's such a weird dynamic because like Harry Dog, like as a character, very serious.
Mm-hmm.
But Blooper is he's the life of the party, man. And
So
I think more people cared about Blooper being there than
so it's kind of like it's like a straight man and like the wild character where like
yeah,
Blooper would just do some crazy shit and Harry Dog he's more like the embodiment of Southern football. He's there to kick your ass and have a good time and get the crowd hyped up. He's not really one to like tease around. He's there. He's the strong guy. Meanwhile,
exactly.
Blooper is just running around, just humping the goalposts and doing crazy
Yep.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, if I think he was probably trying to catch butterflies or some point during the game, waddling around, being a little flowy, and
So
I'm just like, I mean, I know my role at this point in time. I'm like, okay, my goal is to make this dude look as funny as possible, and so I just walk around acting aloof to the situation.
so I see the Hedges here, and I'm sure Georgia is just kind of like too good at this point to like have a really big upset win and storm the field. But if students were to storm the field, how would they get past the Hedge?
I think we have one of the toughest fields to storm.
Mm-hmm.
I think there have been a few. I thought my sophomore year when we beat Notre Dame, we were going to storm it. I didn't think we would storm for Tennessee, but the only reason I think that is because of just how hard it is. So behind the hedge, you can kind of see it where like so if you want to look over near like the guy with the D on his back to the
Mm-hmm.
left of him, you can kind of see there's another wall.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a wall about 10 feet behind the hedges.
Okay. So it's like
Um,
two wall things you have to jump over if you were to.
yes, there's two things you have to jump over. And then when we're like at the end of the game and it's like clear that we're gonna win, they bring like if it was a game that like they're like, oh, okay, Tennessee, they might want to storm, or Notre Dame, they're gonna want to storm. They'll put two rows of security guards. They'll put one in between the wall and the hedges, and then they have another one after the hedges, and it's like 20 or 30 people, like from the end zone to midfield. So it's kind of like 60 people all the way around, 120 total. And then there's a fence. There's like a wire fence in between the hedges that you have to get through.
It's literally just like crossing the border. Like it's fucking.
Yeah.
There's so much. So that now that's a real question. Are Georgia fans crazy enough to try?
I think
You upset number one
like,
Alabama at home.
yeah, if we were unranked at some point and we upset Alabama at home, I think it would happen then. But other than that, like, I don't think so. I don't think anyone's that crazy. I think the closest time we got to storming the field was after the Natty last year, where people started pouring in, and then I think if like one of my friends he jumped over the fence to try to get in, and like he got caught by security, and I thought they were going to arrest him, but then they're just like, just leave, don't come back.
He got caught in the fourth safety net they had. There's a
Yeah,
fourth wall of
yeah.
security. The net. That's funny. Uh, that's awesome. Let me see. I think I got a few more here. I think I got a few more blooper here. Damn. Mascot security. That is a pimpin'. I do the same thing with the chain. Whenever I'm like handling for the mascot, I always put on the shades and the chain and a back. I do the same thing.
There, and if you zoom in, you can see I even have an earpiece in on the left side.
Dude, I have the earpiece for like mascot.
Yeah, this was pretty serious. This was a serious day for me. This was that same day with the picture of him and his spikes. It was like Champions Day or something, where they had both the national championship trophy and the World Series trophy out for people to take pictures with. And then after that, the game started, and then I think I did like the first 3 innings, and he's like, "Yeah, you can be done if you want." And I was like, "You mind if I suit up in security?" He's like, "Oh, absolutely." And I was just living the dream. It was great.
That's awesome. Why have I seen so many mascot handlers just wear the same exact outfit? I've seen Washington State. They have like this suit jacket with their mascot head all over it. So like
really,
that's one of the things. Like when you're a mascot handler, it's like you have to look like super riced out, like with like the official polo. That's awesome. I love the mascot security, and plus that's a big stadium. Like that's awesome just to be there and look out. That's so cool. Oregon doesn't have a baseball team. I mean, their closest baseball team is like Oregon State, but we have the Blazers. So every now and again, they'll bring us and the Duck, and they'll just have like a rivalry day for the Blazers. But Blazers are bad, so we don't like going there. Just kidding, we like going there. All right, this is the reveal. I'm guessing
this is the big reveal. This was senior day this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a moment that I was kind of dreading. I was really scared because but it was like, so I've done mascotting for 4 years, and I was like, dude, I feel like everyone by this time, because I was kind of lax with it in the beginning. I think like half the people I knew I already was Harry Dawg, which is kind of unfortunate. But then like I was like, okay, I guess we'll see what happens. So then I go out there and like my friends cheer me on and whatnot. And then I get into class the next week and like post the picture on Instagram. Nobody knew. I thought so many people knew, but no one had any idea. And like people, my classmates would come up and be like, when were you tell me? I'm like, why do you think I didn't tell you? It's the whole point.
Yeah, we've always been at first I kept it more serious because I did it right before COVID, then I came after COVID, then I became the head mascot. And the thing is we most of our guys were like fraternities and like sororities. So like at that point everyone in your house knows, and then they just start talking, and then
that's how it happened with me. It was my fraternity sort of just, I told them that I got it, and they're like, "Oh, great job, man." And like, "Hey, thanks. Keep it on the down low." And then I think the first date night we go to, one of my friends dates asked, "Oh, so what's it like being Harry Dog?" And I was like, "What? Why did you? What are you doing?" And I was like, yeah, "Okay, you know what? I did my best."
The worst is like I would be like, all right, I need to get up at 5 a.m. I'm traveling to Colorado, so I'd leave the suit in my house, so I didn't, or in my fraternity house, and then I just get a Snapchat from like the house Snapchat group chat of just a dude in his underwear with the head on. I'm like, God damn it, they got into the
Yep.
bag. I'm like, just like don't screenshot that, please. And there's like four screenshots. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
Those haven't gotten released yet, so we're
Yeah.
hoping those stay under the radar.
Good
But
to
the
hear. Good to
mascot
hear.
mascot reveal is always just a fun time just to tell the world all that. And look at all this. We got our mascot friends and
Hmm.
this guy right here.
Oh yeah. So this was the first commercial I ever did. This was last year. It was for March Madness, I think, which was funny because we were terrible in men's basketball. I think we won like 3 games all season last year.
Mhm.
Um, but this was like the first time where I really got to meet like a bunch of mascots, and
Mhm.
it's just so funny when they all interact together. It's like the cutest little thing. They're like the ducks. That was the first time I met the duck, and I fell in love with him immediately. Love at first sight. Just him waddling around. I just want to give him a big old smooch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that dude is fucking massive. I don't know how.
I was like, I was so confused when I first met him. I was like, why the fuck is this thing so big? But you know who's even taller?
Who?
The Kansas mascot.
The Kansas mascot's tall?
So that he's like on his knee right now.
Mhm.
When and it's like by design. I think when Big J, when he stands up, he is 7'2" or something
What
at the
the
top of his head.
What the hell? I was just in the part I just cut out. The duck in this photo, I know this duck, and he's probably in real life 6'3", maybe 6'4". He's huge.
Yeah, tall
He's
guy.
huge. And you're saying the Jayhawk is like 7'2", just with the head on?
Yeah. So I think he was like 6'8" or something. And I think they're like, I think the height requirement for Big J is just like, yeah, be over 6'5". Because I've never seen him small.
I guess
Like
that's
the
why
dude
they
is
have they
massive.
need Baby J to look really small next to him, I guess. So
Yes.
they get like a 5 foot tall Baby J and just a fucking behemoth. They get one of the basketball players to fucking
Yeah,
suit up for Kansas.
exactly. Like
Oh,
I think the idea, I guess, is like this guy could play for the team. I don't know.
that's crazy. But
Like
let's see
me
who
and
else.
them really funny because you got like 4'11" Baby J and then this behemoth.
Oh wow. See who else I can recognize. There's a Clemson Tiger. We got Abby, Ramsey.
Yes.
Who are these two in the background?
So one of them, they're from two HBCUs actually, but they're kind of scary. They're kind of scary looking. I think that the Clemson Tiger is still scarier in my opinion, but I think it's Grambling and then Tennessee State, I believe.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what was it like your first time getting to interact with other mascots? What looks like in the middle of the desert?
Yeah, this was in the middle of nowhere, no signal at all. It was really really fun, but again, it's like it's so hard to play the straight man in these sort of situations because everyone's just being so funny, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be funny, but I was able to sort of mess around with Aubie a bunch, and then played rock paper scissors with the duck for about 5 minutes, where we just kept on picking rock the whole time.
Mhm. I asked Hookem. They play rock paper scissors against Oklahoma mascots, and they said rock paper scissors, horns up beats everything. Does horns up
Mm,
does,
smart.
does horns up beat everything?
Absolutely not. Horns up beats nothing. Horns up gets cut by scissors. Horns up gets smashed to pieces by rock. It gets smothered by paper. I think horns down might beat horns up even.
Dude, it's so funny because Hookem was like, "Yeah, no, horns up wins," and I was like, "Hell yeah, no!" It's like, "Go, yeah, go Texas." And then I asked TCU, and TCU's like, "Hell no!" So like, you guys both
Yes.
being like, "Hell no!"
No. Nowhere close. I think
That
it's I'm so excited for them to join the SEC just to like curb stomp them every year.
You think that's gonna be fun? Dude,
Yeah.
I can imagine Harry Dog coming up. Does Harry Dog what does he have like any props he uses?
I mean, he can. I think we've. It's always tricky with athletics, sort of like figuring out what we're even allowed to do.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, like I'd say we'll bring out some boxing gloves every once in a while. We wanted to bring out like a giant net for uh, Georgia Tech, but because uh, because the game wasn't going to be close, they decided no, that's too mean.
Wait, so you wanted
But
to have a
normally it's
prop
like
against Georgia
fighting.
Tech, but athletics said no because they knew the game wasn't going to be close.
Yes,
That's fucking brutal.
it's rough, man. It's so sad. But like oh my god, last year, like we literally just one of our guys. I didn't go to the Georgia Tech game. It was away, and it's like not an away game that I would want to do because you're basically traveling an hour
Mm,
and back. I think after halftime, when we were up by like 40 points or something,
mm.
he like takes the yellow jacket and starts like pushing him like an offensive lineman, and he throws him to the ground. And Georgia football like video got every second of it, and they posted it, and I was like, dude, this is. I don't know if our coach would get mad at us, but this was like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Was it like friendly or was like the yellow jacket like caught?
It's tough to say. It's tough to say. I think Buzz, like they usually do a good job of being like a good punching bag. I think they sort of know where they stand. Um, and so they'll just fall around and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
they're
this one,
like,
it seemed like there was some malice behind it.
oh geez, Harry Dar is going fucking blood out there.
I
I
know,
mean,
man. It was a tough look, but it was very funny.
tough love, tough love.
That's like the what did you see the Arizona State Arizona fight? I mean that one.
So the first interview I did was with my friend Max Ratch, and he was the Wilbur during that fight.
No way.
And that's the first interview. Literally, once I'm done with Florida tomorrow, I'm gonna edit them all down. He got fired for that, but he
Who
was
did?
Wilbur. He got fired for that, and I saw that on Twitter when I was driving down to like our rivalry game, and it was like pouring rain because it's Oregon, and the traffic was deadlocked. So I checked on my phone and I saw that, and I was like, "Holy shit!" So I called him like, "Dude, was that you?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm in the locker room right now, getting yelled at." So that fight, he talks about that entire fight. That guy is one of the funniest mascots I've ever seen. His brother's an AWE wrestler, so
No way.
he does all this. Fuck, I don't know what's his name. Do you know AWE?
Yeah.
Okay, Darby Allen.
I don't know.
But so he does like stunting stuff. He was at the Jags game, like just getting kicked. He knows how to light himself on fire. He came and visited us in Corvallis and lit himself on fire. We went to Vegas with him, and he's just like dancing with moms in the street. This guy's a character. I love him.
That's awesome.
So anyway, I was trying to
Who was
find,
the ASU guy? Do you know?
yeah, I think it was.
He's been the only Arizona State person I've seen. It was when he was at like I think Old Dominion and then in Vegas for our Nissan shoot. That dude is so fucking funny.
I love that guy. He's a classic. But Quan, yeah. So Sparky didn't get in trouble for that, but Wilbur got a little some repercussions from that. So also
Or Will.
poor Wilbur, but he'll survive. He was gonna retire anyway. So also
Okay, good.
I was going on the Harry Dog Instagram to find some photos. I think I went through the likes, and I think your account popped up like one of the first likes I saw. I'm like, wait, isn't that the guy I'm about to? So I went through your Instagram and I found this photo. Sanford Stadium, Obby the Tiger. And for anyone that doesn't know, in the mascot scene, Obby is one of the most secretive, elusive, big boy UCA championships mascots. So, oh yeah,
Yeah.
what is that? What was that?
Continue. We'll talk about. Yeah, we'll get to it. Don't worry.
Okay. We'll cut this. Okay. So
No, you're fine.
I went to this Instagram and I found this photo of you arguing with Obby. What are you guys arguing about in this?
Dude, he's such a prima donna, you know? I think Harry Dawg. Oh wait, are you here? Are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
back?
yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
We're back.
Harry Dawg is the mascot of the working class. He is, works hard, does what he can, work a day in, day out, always giving his best effort. He's a man's mascot. Aubie's a little prick, man. He walks around and no one knows who he is. He has to change in his own separate little thing. I
I'm
will say the
Obby's
guy that
I'm Obby's friend.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I will say all of Aubie's friends that I've met have been really, really nice. But I had a sour taste in my mouth from 2 years ago. No, 3 years ago. One of our guys went to Auburn for a Better Relations Day, and he met up with one of the friends of Aubie, and they like tore around campus like as themselves. And so they're getting to know each other, whatnot. And then our guy's like, okay, hey, yeah, just give me like 20 minutes. I'll be ready. And then you just come out whenever. And he was like, oh, I can get Aubie whenever you need to get him. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, well, Aubie's sleeping right now. He's like, dude, it's just us. You don't have to. He's like, no, don't worry. We'll wake him up. And so our guy gets ready. And then he like, is just waiting. And he yells, he's like, hey, I'm ready if you're ready. And then so another friend of Aubie comes into Aubie's house because they have like a little house under the stadium. And he comes in and it's a different guy. He knocks on the door and he says, wake up, you sleepy tiger. And then Aubie comes out doing his little head thing. And I was just like, dude, are you serious? This man, they take their craft very seriously over there. And sometimes I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if it's annoyance, but it gets to me sometimes. It gets to me. And so I was just talking because obviously, Aubie and I go way back now.
Mhm.
By this point, and I'm just saying, what are you doing here, man? What's going on? You trying to just hit on our women? You trying to hit on Georgia? Deal.
So are you telling Obby to get away from the cheerleaders in this photo, or like what? I can tell you're genuine. This is not like a smile here. This is like a genuine like what the fuck are you doing?
There's a smile there. There's a smile.
Uh,
There's a little bit of
no, a little
no.
bit.
But I was just like, dude, save some for the rest of us, man. Maybe I'm not smiling in that one. Maybe I'm a little angry now. You know
I,
what? I he took my glasses off and then tried to rub them with his tail to clean them, and I couldn't see anything afterwards. And I was pretty pissed. I was kind of pissed about that. You know what?
Obby's grease is running off in your glasses.
Yeah, what is he doing? What's he doing?
I've met other mascots when we're out of suit. The only one that kind of was like he changed in front of us, but like would kind of be more secretive was the duck because he didn't want photos of the head taken off. But like I can
Yes.
understand not like we're taking like head swap photos. I have a head swap with every Pac-12 mascot besides the duck because he's like I don't really want that out there. I can understand that. I fully understand that Duck's big brand. I understand that, but like Avi, wake up! Oh, there he is. Like
Uh-huh.
that
Yeah.
could be a little bit
That
like
that got to me. That got to me. But I mean, they're the guys that I know, they're all great. They're all good dudes.
it's just this weird little like quirk they have to do. The
Mm-hmm.
Obby's friends. Oh
Yep. I
man,
feel so bad for him. So I'm like, dude, come on. Come on.
come on, Obby. So this is what I was gonna talk about. I was gonna bring this up about the rivalry, like who the real rival is, like Alabama, Florida, Georgia Tech. But I think we kind of covered that a little bit. Of it would be Georgia Tech if when hopefully Georgia Tech comes up to the
Yeah,
level. When you guys go down and they come up, then that's when it's going to be a bigger rival. You think
I think so.
it was
I
historically a pretty big rivalry, right?
Yeah, and it's been happening for a long time, and I think it's just right now it's tough because they're coming off of probably their worst 4 years they've ever had, I think, as a program, and we're coming off of our best 4 years. So right now there's just a huge power imbalance. But I mean, it felt like a game this year, even though it wasn't super close. It felt like more of a game than it has been years prior, and so I'm kind of excited for that. But at the same time, it's like if my coworker goes to Tech, I'm gonna be annoyed. I
Oh,
will be.
absolutely. It's the same thing, especially us. Because Oregon State was, oh my God, the laughing stock. We were 1-11.
Yep.
Got the new coach slowly working our way up. We've beaten Oregon now the past 2 of 3. So we're really excited to keep that going up because, you know, fuck
It's
the
a good.
best. So yeah, we just saw Lane Kiffin just retweeted our coach, and so we're like, dude, we got SEC recognition. Like, that's what we got
Let's
to
go.
do.
Let's go.
I think I also saw this one. This is awesome. I don't know if I'll blur their faces in post just to leave some of their hairy dogs, the younger ones, anonymous, but this is an
Oh,
awesome
those
photo.
aren't hairy dogs. You're
Oh,
good.
these are not hairy dogs. These are just cheer
No.
team.
Yeah, that's the cheer team.
So
Continue. Yeah.
what level of like euphoria is going on in your head? Like you are on the 50-yard line, see confetti from your school matching your pants, and like everyone's cheering. You just won a second national championship, and you get to be on the field. Like what?
It's so cool. I mean, it's an elation that doesn't go away for about 2 weeks. I'm serious. Like the feeling that like, because I mean, I don't really feel like I've ever contributed to a win just because it's like, how much are we really doing actually, in terms of like helping the team? Because I think our team is just really good. So it's like, what am I doing? But to be there, like able to witness it at like such an amazing time, like at such an amazing level, it feels like I've won the lottery. Like that's kind of the same sort of elation that I'm feeling. Is it's like there are 127 teams in college football. How lucky am I to get to go to not one but two in the 4 years that I had in college?
Yeah, and you got the back-to-back. I mean, Georgia's always been a great program, but like the national championship
Yeah,
back-to-back, like that's gonna be like, remember that old 2020s Georgia team that Stenson Bennett? Rumor had it he was actually 35 years old.
and we really didn't get a big brunt of that. Oh, and this was at the previous national championship. That one, I mean, you can see it by the look on my face. That's not. I'll forget.
I love that. Do you had the flag prepared?
Yes. So we had they when we came in to both of the games, we had this giant cardboard box, like huge, like, well, it's not a box. It was like a cardboard, like sort of like, it was pretty thin, like about maybe like this thin,
Mm.
but it like 5 foot by 10 foot. And I'm like, what the heck is in this thing? And our coach is like, nothing, doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I see him, bringing it out at the end of the third quarter. I'm like, is this is this is this like one of those things that if we win, we see it, but if we lose, it goes to Africa and we never get to see it? I didn't know if it was like shirts or something. But then he comes out with this flag, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So they have it all prepared. We had a new one with a new logo on it this year. And it said like back to back. I mean, it's crazy cool.
I like that. It's like, is this like if we win, we get to see it, and if we don't, it gets shipped to like a country that needs
A third world country, yeah, like blankets. Because
blankets.
that's like I don't know if you saw it, but at the end of the national championship last year, they gave one of our guys an Alabama national championship hat. Like it had the Alabama logo on it.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
I'm actually wearing the Pac-12 Utah. Wait, where's the logo? Oh, Utah Utes hat right here. Because we got to go on the field when they beat Oregon. So I would love to have a Pac-12 championship Oregon Ducks hat. Oh, that would be so funny. Oh man. All right. Just- I've also done I've also done the snow angel and the confetti, but it was for an Oregon loss, not a Beaver win, so not quite as cool. Uh, that's just a classic. Every mascot's got to do it. I love the above shot. So what is this right here? Did someone paint that for you, or did the Athletics give that to you?
I found that in a store.
Really?
This was this was so surreal to me. So if you go back to the last picture, this was me at the Orange Bowl. This is after we won the Orange Bowl, and so it's like actually me as Harry Dawg in the confetti, and this is like my lock screen. I mean, this is like a picture that I cherish because it's iconic to me.
Hmm.
So I think I was going to a Braves game, and I go into one of like the shops that they have right outside the store, and I go into the corner, and they're literally selling paintings of me in the store. And I was like, I'm famous, man. This is it. I thought I was like watching myself in a movie or something. I was like, is this what's going on? Is this real? And so I have it like up on my wall now. But
Girls
it
are
was just a
recognizing you at date dashes and outside of Braves game stores. You're getting viral, very famous.
yeah, oh, I guess it's crazy.
Oh man, that's so cool. Having your own painting. I've all I've gotten is like a newspaper clipping of like a photo of me. Actually, no, the one cool thing I have is if you look up, I did this one random event. They didn't tell me what it was, but they just took a bunch of photos and videos of me in front of a green screen. And then that's like the university's
Are
like,
those
yeah, like the gifts. I'm the gifts and like the Snapchat stickers and like all of those are me because you can tell my skinny ass ankles. And I'm like, oh shit. So if you look up Benny
that's
the
sick?
Beaver, like a GIF, he's like doing like the heart or like doing a little tail. I'm doing this one really shitty dance my friend taught me how to do. Like you just kick your legs back and forth, and they got that
Yeah,
one for some reason.
Charleston.
Oh yeah,
That's so cool, dude. Cutest dog in the entire world.
Ugga baby. What is the dynamic of Harry Dog between Ugga? Like how do those go back and forth? Because I know Harry Dog is the meaner growling bulldog, and Ugga's the sweet boy. So
Yeah.
how do
So
those go hand in hand?
I always look at Uga as, my son, my kin.
Hmm.
He and I are are one. But in my heart of hearts, I know that whatever I do, whatever amazing things Harry Dog does, like say he does like a triple backflip on a motorcycle or something, he will pale in comparison to Uga just laying down all the time.
Because Ugga is just like that's the bulldog. I mean that's the
And
dog. I
he we do like an Uga cam on the jumbotron at every game, and like you can tell because you'll just randomly, like in the middle of a play, have the entire crowd just on their feet, and he's just him in his little doghouse laying down.
I've seen I've noticed that with a few other mascots. Like Washington has Dubs the Husky, and Chip was telling me like Ralphie. Sometimes people will call him like Ralphie, and then like he'll point to the name on his back, like, oh no, it's Chip. Oh, it's Chip. Uh,
Yep.
do Georgia students just go Ugga Ugga? They do.
It's not. I don't think Georgia students do, but Georgia fans definitely do.
Ah.
Uh, so like, I'd say like any people like alumni, I think even say Uga sometimes too, which I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But it gets on my nerves a little bit. I'm like, guys, you know who he is. You know who I am. I wish I was him, but I'm not. He has a better life than me. He has his own hotel room. He's got his own little house. Um,
So,
but he,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
sorry,
No, go ahead.
yeah,
Keep.
he's got his own little house on the field with like ice pack and air conditioning. Um, but our like the students like if I go to like any student sanctioned events, no one's ever called me Uga. But if I'm like when I was at the Braves game, people were calling me Uga, and that it got to me. It got to me.
So you mentioned Uga lives a life of luxury. Daniel, he goes to USC. He's making this with me right there. He says Traveler, the horse, the white horse, is in luxury. It's like $10,000 to rent it. Super pampered, has one of the best lives. So I thought it was kind of weird when PETA called for Georgia to stop using their outdated bulldog. What are Harry Dog's thoughts, or what are your thoughts as a former Harry Dog or current Harry Dog?
Yeah.
PETA calling out Georgia for
Sorry. Sorry, I'm doing a little interruption game. I apologize for that.
no,
This
absolutely.
you go. You go.
No, sorry. I'm just it's like the Zoom lag is like a little bit hard. I just think I know Uga gets fucking treated like a king. I know everyone at University of Georgia, and he's more money is probably in his pension account than mine. So, like, what are your
Mhm.
thoughts to PETA being like, "Bah, I hate Uga"?
Yeah. So like it's literally just a family's dog that they bring to football games. Like it's owned by one family, and he has his own car. He is fed the nicest food ever. When he comes into town for a game, they like in the Georgia hotel, because we have like a hotel run like as a part of the university. He has his own hotel room that only he stays in. I mean, this dude lives a better life than some people. And the fact that PETA is calling us out for him being alive, I mean, he's 10, man. He's an old dog. He is pampered all to hell. And I think PETA just need to step their game up and do some research.
This
Look
dog
at,
looks like it's miserable right now.
yeah, he is heartbroken
I've
at how
seen
he's being treated.
I've seen two videos of Uga just like all like escaping like danger. One was Bevo just coming in and like trampling, and then the other one was like an Auburn player scaring. So did any like security measures happen after that, or like how did they change anything with Uga?
To my knowledge, no. Just because he hasn't like so the Auburn one, he wasn't scared. Like that's a pretty iconic picture in Georgia lore because he's biting the guy.
Oh, really?
He's biting the guy, yeah, and it was awesome. So like everyone sees that picture,
Oh,
but the Bevo, I don't think I. My guess is the family's not going to let him near any more live mascots because that thing could have destroyed him.
yeah. So maybe Uga is like probably more fine, like near the shrubs near the side of your stadium, but probably not like for another bowl game. Let's get him near Ralphie or Bevo or like
Yeah,
let's get him near
maybe
like the live gator.
get him near Mike the Tiger. Yeah, put him in the cage with him.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Just Uga beats the shit out of him.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah,
oh yeah.
that's all the photos I have, but I still have a few more just like basic questions I wrote down. Let's see what I
Sure.
wrote down. Is Stetson Bennett too old?
No, I, like look, he's old, sure, but I feel like in terms of like athleticism, like when Jadeveon Clowney was playing, I feel like he's more of a threat than Stetson Bennett is.
Hmm.
Stetson Bennett was kind of a skinny, small dude. Like if he was like Derrick Henry size, then I'd be like, yeah, get him out, put him in the league already.
Hmm.
But you know what? I think he's at the age he needs to be. But now he's gone. He's gone, guys. Don't worry. He's not coming back.
So, and another thing you mentioned, besides kind of on topic but a little off topic, is you said you were a sophomore at that South Carolina game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that means that I kind of remember that one was kind of back in the day. I think I was also a sophomore, maybe a freshman. You've been to Georgia. You were established in Georgia before the two national championships, and you're established in Georgia after. How
Mm-hmm.
has Athens changed? How has the energy changed around campus and everything since winning two national championships?
I'd say, I mean, there's sort of a buzz now, but the biggest thing comes from sort of the optimism of Georgia in Georgia sports. Because for the like before Atlanta won, we thought we had a curse. There was like, so since the Olympics were brought to Atlanta in '96, we haven't won a major sports thing or whatever. So we always lived with like this pessimism where, you know, even in like 2011 or in 2013, it's like, yeah, we're good, but we're never going to be great because we always will Georgia at the end of the day. And having these two wins and like even the Braves win, especially like to be honest, because it broke the curse, there is this new breed of Georgia fan that has the ability to think positively, which has not been the case for years.
So it just allows people. It's kind of like you've been underwater. It's just a deep breath of fresh air, so that if it is tough in the next few coming years, you can hold on to that optimism of like we've gotten out of this before.
100%. I mean,
That
you're coming from like the Pinstripe Bowl 10 years ago to this. It's like, I think it's tough for some new students who have like come in as a freshman for the first national championship win. They're like, yeah, I'm expecting this every year. But it's like, you got to understand this is once in a lifetime.
Hmm. Is Georgia? I'm gonna make a soundbite out of this, and this is gonna be hotly contested. Is Georgia becoming a new dynasty, in your opinion?
Oh, yeah. I really do think we'll win three in a row. I think if there's ever been a team that has an opportunity to, like if we were going to lose a national championship, it would have been this year because we had 15 guys go to the draft. We had like basically a completely young and new defense, but now our offense is almost entirely returning except for Stetson Bennett. We've got a great tight end room, probably the best in the country, a few new transferred wide receivers, and our defense stays exactly the same. I don't see, and we're having the craziest thing to me was that we're now having people transfer from Georgia to Alabama because they can't get playing time, and I
Wow.
think that's a shift in the dynamic.
So Georgia, Alabama, God, man, the SEC is so nuts. First question: does it mean more? SEC just means more.
Oh my God, absolutely. It, you see the Big Ten try and come in with two teams in the playoff, and then obviously none of their teams make it to the national championship because they're frauds. If like
Are you talking to me, the Pac-12?
you guys are you guys are fine. Big Ten is my main. Yeah, hey, you'll get there someday. I promise. You
We beat Florida 30-3.
got it. I'm
A
telling you,
shitty Florida team, but we did it.
you did it. You did it.
Uh,
But if it were up to, it would have been like if I wanted to put the four best teams in the country in the playoff: Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, LSU. I think that's it, to be
mhm.
honest.
I definitely do understand. Those are probably the best teams. I think I would have thrown TCU at four, maybe, just because I think Georgia like really beat the brakes off of LSU, but LSU was really good. They beat Purdue.
I,
Um, Another thing I've heard from other mascots, Pac-12 mascots that have interacted with SEC mascots. I've asked them who are the craziest, wildest, most fun mascots, and they always say the SEC ones. So, in terms of the dynamic of all the mascots, like who's the most fun, who's the craziest, who's the straight character? Are you guys like a family, or is it kind of more just a cordial, you do stuff for work when you're together? What does the dynamic work with like the entire SEC?
yeah, it's because we don't. It's weird because we don't really come together as often as like other conferences do.
Hmm.
Like the championship and Pac-12 championship, all y'all are together. Where we're not together like that. So usually it only happens at like commercials, but it's usually there's a little bit of bad blood. Like not in terms of like we hate each other, but it's
Hmm.
like, you know, there's a lot of jabs being taken at a lot of schools when we're together. And especially like we did I think some event with uh Bama and Tennessee was there at the same time. And it's just like, oh man, okay, who's gonna clap first? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? But like I have a really good relationship with one of the big owls. I talk to her all the time. One of the UF Albertas, I talk to her all the time. I mean, it is kind of like a pretty big family.
Hmm. So it's kind of like because for all the Pac-12, we all just know we beat up on each other and we always never get to the playoffs. So we're always just there to have a fun time. You
Yeah,
think the SEC it's more of like an extension of like the team where the teams have like such historic beef that like you're friendly in person, like personally you're friendly, but you're just like, oh, this guy represents like a school that I just absolutely despise.
yeah. It's you like whenever we're interacting, I have to take the school out of it. Like I just have to because I know if I to the school at all, I'm gonna like I might throw hands. Uh, but it's it's definitely different when like this year was really weird because Bama wasn't like the cream of the crop, you know. But normally it's like every team is friends except for Alabama. But now it's kind of different, and I don't know how it'll be once I'm gone because this is my last year. But I mean, I hope I hope people still approach us with love and kindness.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Once the Oregon Duck gets big, then it's like, oh man, it's Oregon. Man, it's always Oregon. And then USC this year, I mean, people, the Pac-12 just doesn't really like USC as an institution because like they're leading us to the Big Ten. But
Mm-hmm.
like it was Daniel was the Tommy. I keep on pointing. It's like right there. There we go. Daniel was like the Tommy Trojan, and we all love him, even though we're kind of like rooting against his team a little bit. So
Uh,
it's like when like I remember I was like cheering when Utah beat USC in the championship, and I was like, oh shit, Daniel's probably like really sad. Like,
I felt that way with the when Tennessee beat Alabama. I was like, let's go. We might not have to even play them in the SEC championship this year, and especially when LSU beat Bama. Um, but I still had to like console my friend. I was like, I'm sorry, that does suck. But luckily they're killing it in basketball right now, so
oh
nothing
yeah,
to worry
uh,
about.
cut this part out, but they're literally killing it. Didn't that one guy murder someone?
Oh my god, yeah, he did. He did murder someone. I need to talk to her about that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I just kind of saw that, and like we're still number 4 in the polls, and I look at the comments. I was like, anyone gonna bring this up?
Yeah, this guy like killed a guy. No, he
Right.
killed a lady.
Yeah. Anyway, cut back in. We're back. So I guess one of the things is Athens is a huge college town.
Yeah,
I've heard. Um, I'm sure the entire university rolls around athletics, but it also rolls around, the university as a whole. What other favorite events do you have besides just like uh Georgia athletics? Like, what does Harry Dog do outside of campus that has been really cool?
yeah. So we do a dance marathon every year. So that's partnering with UGA and Children's Healthcare of Atlanta,
Mhm.
which is like a hospital that we have here. And it's like dancing for 24 hours, and Harry Dog will make an appearance occasionally. And I think this year we might try to bring him in at like 12 a.m. to like rally the troops. And I think that would be really fun. But like we've done like dance marathon with them. Um, we do a lot of stuff with like ESP, extra special people, and that's always super rewarding. But I'm trying to think of like what's the most memorable non-athletic thing
I,
that
I
I've
I
done.
I can bring up like mine while you're thinking about it.
Yeah,
I've just always I mean most of the times like if it's like a little kid, it's just kind of take a photo and be over, or the kid's crying and I have to like distance myself. But when there's like a little small child that comes up to you and like you just make his day, he just like wants a hug. And you just take a photo with him and he just gives you like one more like big hug. He can barely put his arms around your stupid like head.
yeah,
Those are because like you kind of like shaped that kid's life. Because I had a childhood mascot. I was a Cal fan growing up, and even if Oski the bear is a little terrifying, that was my childhood mascot, and I love Oski. And there's
yeah.
photos of me growing up. So I think just being able to spread that and knowing that you probably interacted with another future mascot.
I mean that's always such a cool feeling, and it's hard because sometimes you're hot and sweaty and you want to be done, but like I think especially at like events and like basketball games where you can kind of roam around a little more. Like I'll occasionally like I'll hug a kid and I'll take a picture with him, and then as I'm walking away, he's like, "Mom, did you see that?" And I'm like, "That is so heartwarming, so precious." This last year, I was doing an event, and I had to be there for I think 2 hours or something, and I was just trying to pass the time, and I end up finding this little girl, and I like come down and I like kneel at her level and I like boop her nose with my finger,
Mm.
and then she starts doing like that little baby thing, where they're like, and I'm like, dude, I love my job. Like it's days like that where you're like, that's awesome that I get to, because that kid like, it might be hard for you to remember looking back on it, but that kid will remember that for like the rest of their life.
100%. And just like it's a lot of it's the smaller things. We all might want to get into it for like our own reasons, but you kind of stay for different reasons.
100%.
You
Yeah.
come in, you're like, dude, I want to be on the field and like getting crowd surfed and like girls coming up to me at fraternity date dashes, maybe. Well, that might just be me, but then like you kind of like have those moments where you're like you're super sweaty and you're like, dude, I'm so done. I have to do another quarter of this, and then like suddenly like this small little thing happens. You're like, oh wait, this is actually really cool.
Yep.
So those have always been the most special things for me, and kind of why I wanted to why me and Daniel wanted to start this is just kind of we believe if once we start editing things together, like this can very much blow up. But also just like I think there's stories that need to be told. No one really knows what's kind of going on. It's such a niche community, but we all have just so much crazy shit to share.
Gosh, yeah. Like it's I think it's one of the coolest things. Like I take it for granted sometimes, but I've got stories for a lifetime from the 4 years that I've been doing this.
Mm,
I like soon I actually might have a job. I did an appearance at Delta
mm,
and I dropped my resume off as Harry Dawg and I got an interview from it.
really.
And it's like how can you say that sometimes you're just like I don't know. It's because it's such a unique life. It is so different from what anybody else does. It's like obviously sometimes it gets to be a little draining. But it can be one of the most rewarding things ever.
And every mascot I've talked to knows this feeling of when it's weird. Have you ever done this? Like sometimes like you're sitting on like the 50-yard line, or I'm sure you in SoFi when it's like you guys are up 65, and then you just kind of like you look on the inside of your head and you're like, and then you kind of like look around, you're like, wait, what am I doing here? Like, how did I end up here? And it's just
Yeah.
like, surreal. And then like you just kind of like get sucked back in. Like you might be talking to someone or like interacting with someone, and they're looking back at something completely different. The embodiment of just your school and
Like
spirit.
it's not even me. Um I had a real out of body experience where I like saw a video of me doing something and I'm like, I felt like a human doing that. And then I look at it and it's like, that's not what I remember being. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird just seeing like you, but not you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's surreal.
I can always tell it's me because I got the skinny ass ankles once again. But I and apparently I have this weird walk. But besides that, no, I try to keep as in character as possible.
Mhm.
I don't have too many horror stories. Actually, I have a few horror stories. Would you? And whenever I tell people about mascot stuff, everyone knows like the yeah, like you're at the national championship game. Of course, it's gonna be amazing. Do you have any horror stories from your time as Harry Dog? From like a moment you're like, what the hell is going on? That ended up being kind of funny in retrospect.
Yes. So I I've had a few times where my heart has dropped and a few times where I thought I was going to like get fired. Um so I drove, luckily it was like in Athens, but I drove to an appearance about 20 30 minutes early and I was getting ready and I like forgot my gloves and I was like, and this was my first year. I was like, I'm about to get fired. I can't go out. What am I doing? Oh my God. I just ruined everything. And luckily I was able to go back and get it. But then I think the biggest like something that I think a lot of people might think is like kind of fun, but I was like really I like now I'm like really annoyed by it and I'm kind of annoyed that it happens so often because Harry Dog is like um his pants are just like my legs.
Mm-hmm.
Uh I'll like go to like we're hired for like weddings and stuff. And like so many people will like grab my butt or grab my tail. And I'm like, dude, I mean, it's funny, but now I feel like a piece of meat. And like I'll leave the wedding thinking like, what's going on? And like, obviously like beer can get thrown at you sometimes. One of our guys was offered cocaine in suit and then had an entire like 5 cases of beer or 5 glasses of beer dumped on him at a wedding. And it's just like,
Jesus.
yeah,
That sounds like the worst nightmare. I'd go to athletics and be like, give me a fucking raise. Like
a
I'm
hundred
not
percent. Like sometimes I'm like, you know, I feel like I have a few cases that I could make and just be like, you got to give me money because this sucks.
do you guys get paid for being Harry Dog?
Occasionally. So
Okay.
we get a stipend, a night like it basically covers like 1 month rent.
Hmm.
We get one of those every semester, and then we'll get paid for private appearances. But like
Yeah.
for any student like appearances or anything with athletics, we don't get paid for.
Yeah, we have the same thing. We have like a system. It's like 25 cents a mile for distance plus gas. I don't know. It's like this weird system that they always do. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, that those horror stories. It wasn't against Georgia. What was the mustard game? That was Tennessee Ole Miss.
Yes. Yeah.
So you've traveled to how many away games have you traveled to in the SEC?
Um, maybe 10 or 12.
Oh wow. So which fan base has been the most ravenous? Because I can barely handle fans from Oregon and Colorado Boulder. They
Yeah.
scare me. I think I would genuinely worry for my life sometimes. Uh,
I Yes, 100%. Florida is very scary. I think Auburn was a lot nicer than I thought it would be. I think it's fun because we were like up by a lot, so I was like able to like jeer at the crowd. But Florida, I was really scared, especially when like cans were getting thrown at the game.
mhm.
And I didn't go to Neyland for Tennessee, and I kind of wish I did. But I heard that the fans there, like we had to like move the cheerleaders out of the stadium because they were like getting yelled at and they were having things thrown at them late in the game. But there's some pretty scary fan bases, and that obviously it doesn't mean that the fan bases are bad. I
No,
think
it's just
they're not bad.
that section that shows up front row and gets
Yeah,
drunk. They're the scary one. Like you're gonna see like an 85-year-old grandpa take his 4-year-old daughter. They're not ravenous. They're not everyone's gonna have horrible fans. It just seems like the ones that are intense, like the ends of the spectrum, are like the highs are high in the SEC.
yes, I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, I once we put up the Super Frog, he'll tell you he's like he went to a Texas Tech game. He's like, yeah, no, what's the craziest fan base? Like Texas Tech, I got choked out one time, but to be fair, it started off pretty funny. I was like, dude, he's like he got up close like the Red Raiders, and like he said, someone just like grabbed him like that because he knows like a wall and the fans are above. They just
Yeah.
grabbed him and just like pulled him up, so he was just getting choked.
Oh my god.
And he said it was pretty funny at first. I love the Super Frogs. I think it's super funny. But all in all, I don't really know like what else is there to say. I think we just covered so much. Do you have like any closing things you want to share? Any like final other stories?
Let's see. I think it's always fun being able to interact with the crowd. There have been times where like I fought cocky and I stick my hands up like 6 inches from like here to here, and then the entire student section erupts, which is always really funny. Um, I don't know. I feel like we covered quite a bit. I'm trying to think of if there's anything.
Oh, I have one more thing.
Yeah.
I've heard from deep within social media of fans who visit Sanford getting barked at. Do the Georgia fans bark at other fans? Well, I know they do, but how bad is it? And can you bark at me just so I can be officially barked at?
Oh, absolutely. I will. Uh, if so, I think a great this is like any bowl game, I feel like it's really prevalent because then you're sort of in that place for a long time. But yeah, I'll bark at anybody. I'll bark at fans. I'll bark at small children. Uh, I'll my roommate just barked in the other room because he overheard me. I mean it's fun if you look. Not everyone can do it because obviously not everyone is a dog, but it's an feeling, and absolutely will do it at opposing fans whenever I get the option.
So it's just I don't give a shit if you like it or not. The dogs are
Yeah,
barking.
dogs are barking.
You know,
We for the TCU trip, we like TCU and us and our bands, we got to like go on like this backstage tour of Universal or whatever.
Mhm.
And we just start barking at them unprompted. And then our entire band is barking at them, and they're just like, UGA sucks, UGA sucks. And we're just barking. It's like, it's so obnoxious, but I love it. It's so fun.
It's just a fun little fucking quirk you do. I mean, like, the thing we have, I guess people are annoyed at, is the third down chainsaw. So if it's a third down, they have these giant speakers in the stadium. She goes like every single third down because like it gets people fucking crazy. And then like the beaver pulls out the chainsaw that's actual like gas powered. Oh man, it's awesome.
Have it yield the chainsaw.
Yeah, we take the like the spikes off of it. But yeah, like whenever we get an interception, they pull over the turnover chainsaw. Have you seen that? It's just like yeah, they got the turnover chainsaw, which is really fun. So we normally had a prop one that we used for the mascot, but a bunch of our guys are in the forestry major, so they just took off the chains of it and they like modified it a little bit, painted it orange. So now we have our own like we'd normally give it to the student section, they'd hold it, they go yeah, they go crazy. But apparently one person like swung the chainsaw, hit someone in the head, and like fractured their skull. I think so. We don't do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give the chainsaw to fans anymore. Probably shouldn't have done that in the first place, but regardless, I just want to say thanks so much for coming on, Harry, Dawg, Evan, man. It's been a fucking honor. SEC baby.
Hey, go Dogs, man.
Go Dogs. Do you have any messages? Do you have any messages for the Florida Gator I'm talking to tomorrow?
You know, I just want them to feel, just let them know that it's okay to be for third place, and there's no shame in losing.
Oh man, it's ruthless. That's SEC for you. I love it.
Who is it? Do you know?
Gator. Nolan.
I don't know him.
No. Well, we're doing the Gator tomorrow.
Nice.
Technically it'll be the episode before because my scheduling all up, and then I'm gonna edit those 7 down to get like just the actual interview stuff, and then we're gonna. Let me just end this, and then I can like just talk to you for the recording. So I'm gonna end the recording, and then so we'll just cut like. And then, yeah, random cut. That was kind of weird, but I never know how to end these episodes. So welcome behind the mod podcast, Evan. All right, see you next time, guys.